Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Professors of Profit vlogcast. I am here with Dr. Steve Sudell, who actually created an invention that that physical therapists can kind of take an eye at, take a look at, and aspire to. Steve, tell us a little bit about your journey and how it led you to where you are today and what you're doing with the Neck Hammock.
I started out my PT career, doing outpatient, and I started out in a very high volume clinic that after about a year and a half, I quickly burnt out of. I loved, the people, but just the volume, I really just couldn't handle. And so I switched into home health physical therapy at that time. And it's actually kind of funny that going into home health gave me the opportunity to listen to a lot of like audiobooks. So every time I was driving in between clients, I'd be listening to different books, and two of them that I listened to was a 4-Hour Work Week, which was very game changing for me and like overall, mindset and how I looked at things. And then within 4-Hour Work Week was another book called One Simple Idea that basically talked about how to license inventions. And I've always kind of had ideas how to like make things better. And so the combination of those two books kind of gave me inspiration to start creating products that could help people. And one of my very first products was a product that helped prevent home health patients from tripping on their nasal cannula who had, like supplemental oxygen. And, I went through that whole process and, unfortunately the product, it really didn't get to a point where I felt comfortable actually like selling it like at scale. But all the education that I learned from that point helped me to then feel much more comfortable when I actually launched the Neck Hammock, which, didn't happen for a few years down the road. I've since started my own clinic then. And, I've had my clinic now for about 8+ years. And the nice thing about doing that is I kind of had the flexibility to also pursue some of these other ventures. So it's kind of a interesting and intertwined like way of how things have happened, but I think it's all extremely relevant.
Yeah, I think I had a very similar journey, where I was outpatient for a while. The volume got a lot. I got offered a couple other options. Ended up in home health because the schedule was pretty flexible. And that kind of helped me start a couple of side hustles and side gigs of my own. Which I loved, and they're my passion projects. They're what I love to do outside of the clinic, but they're still relatively healthcare related, which is nice. What would you say is one of the reasons, or a couple of reasons maybe, that professors or clinicians that might be dealing with burnout, like you talked about, why should they pursue their own invention? Why should they look into the option of creating something? And inventing something on their own?
One of the things that I say a lot is that our physical therapy education is extremely valuable in that many times we're taught almost to kind of think inside the box and like be a really good therapist, like within the clinic, not realizing that we have all this education that we can use for other entrepreneurial things that actually can continue to help people. And so the way that I saw the Neck Hammock is that here I have an opportunity that I really believed in the product and because it helped alleviate my neck pain. So if it helped me, I know that there's, thousands, hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of people that could benefit from this. So instead of me being a sole physical therapist where I can help, we'll say 30 people a week. Well, imagine if I could get this to 100,000 people, 200,000 people, a million people, so I'm still doing my part and giving back to the overall like wellness like spectrum, but I can do it at a much greater scale. And for me, I obviously was very happy with the success of the product, but the thing that gives me the most success is like reading the thousands of people's comments who like, gain relief from it. And it's just, you just can't have that sort of impact when it's just one-on-one.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. Impact. I think that's what we're all searching for. And I think, that's part of burnout is when we get to a point where we try to shove so many patients into one day, you can only see so many patients, and how do you make a bigger impact if you can only see X amount of patients every day, right? So I think, having a course, or having an educational session, or having a product, or having something that can scale more than just one-on-one treatment is an awesome way to make that bigger impact. Well, Steve, tell us a little bit about, if you had to give like a couple of pro tips or tricks or pointers on, how, like, how to get started in creating your own invention, or you've got an idea. What are some tips and tricks you'd give to somebody just starting out with their idea and turning it into a reality?
Well, the very first thing for me is just getting a baseline education. And so for me, it was that book, One Simple Idea. It gave me a really solid framework on, like, all kind of the steps that you need, like the basic steps that you need to get your idea, bring it to life. Now, obviously implementing that is, can be at times much different than that. But I think that you first have to develop a good baseline, whether it's through an audiobook, whether it's through, reading and watching YouTube videos online. I mean, there's a plethora of information out there, but ultimately you have to immediately try to test your ideas. You have to do things. You actually have to take action, because it's when you take action, that's actually when you learn the most valuable information than you'll ever get. Books are great, but they're just like that foundation. You actually have to take action on your ideas. And as you go through the process, you'll very quickly learn what you don't know, what you don't feel comfortable with, what you need help with. And then, from each of those steps, then you kind of take a step back, figure out who can help you, and I think that physical therapists have a very large social network that, people are involved, in all different, industries that can help you pursue your idea. And so honestly, it's just like, once you have your idea, once you're trying to take action on it, really kind of tell as many people as possible, because you don't know who they know. And so many of like the connections that I made that turned out to be extremely valuable in helping my product, come to life, was me literally just like talking to a patient, like, oh yeah, I know this person. Or just a small example, I watch Shark Tank all the time. I did, and that's also a great show for people to watch who want to pursue ideas, because it just gives you, again, another educational baseline. And there was a woman on there who had this back product that, like, I basically wanted to completely replicate everything that she did with Neck Hammock. I'm not reinventing the wheel. And one of my clients was actually good friends with her, and he actually got me in contact with her, and like, we developed a relationship. She kind of gave me some of the people that she used, and so had I never said anything, I would have never, this guy would have never given me her contact, and I don't think that I would nearly have the same success. So a lot of it is just like, get your idea out to the universe, and you'd be surprised how many people know someone who knows someone that can help you.
Yeah, I try to teach my students that as early as possible, they should be networking from day one. Because there's that cliche phrase, your network is your net worth. I truly believe that, that over the years, a lot of the opportunities that I've had have mainly been through networking. I'm not a huge believer in luck. I believe that, you work as hard as you can, and eventually when opportunities present themselves, you're ready to pounce on them at that point, because you worked hard and prepared yourself for those moments. Well, Steve, tell us a little bit about the Neck Hammock. Where can people find it, and where can people find you and reach out if they want to ask you more questions or have any follow-ups?
Yeah, so the Neck Hammock, you can get it directly online, thenechammock.com. You can also get it on Amazon, but we've had a bit of an issue with knockoffs over the years, so you just want to be careful and make sure that you're actually getting the right product. If it's not actually branded as the Neck Hammock, then if it's sold for really cheap, then it's probably not the real thing, and you're not going to be too happy with your purchase. But yeah, the Neck Hammock was something that I grew up playing football. I struggle with neck pain, and when I became a physical therapist, I was really introduced to cervical traction. And every time I would use it, it would always alleviate my neck pain. But the problem was, there wasn't anything that I could do at home. There wasn't any like really effective cervical traction device I can use at home. They used to have these very archaic things that you'd hang over the door, and it would pull your chin up. And there's just so many issues I had with that. And so one day I was working out, I tweaked my neck, and I grabbed one of those long resistance bands, wrapped it around the pole, wrapped it around the back of my head, and I just laid in it for 10 minutes. And 10 minutes later, my neck felt a lot better. So I just basically took that idea, turned it into something that I wanted to be something that was very affordable, so that really anyone had access to. And it was never intended to replace physical therapy, but really just be as a supplement, something that you could do while you're not seeing your physical therapist or your other healthcare clinicians. And yeah, it's a product that, you know, I've gone through 15, 16 different prototypes now and iterations, and based on people's feedback to get it to, you know, something that I feel extremely proud with. And then as far as, you know, reaching out to me, you can always, you know, find me on Instagram, Facebook. I'm a little less active on Facebook intentionally, but yeah. And my, you know, you feel free and share my email as well.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll put all those links in the show notes. Steve, thanks so much for your time and for coming on to just kind of educate my audience a little bit about all things that physical therapists can do on top of or adjacent to their physical therapy career. I'm a firm believer that physical therapy should just be the tip of our iceberg. So I think you're a prime example of that. So thank you for all you've done for the profession. Like I said, thanks for coming on to share your knowledge with us.
And you know, thank you for spreading the word on getting physical therapists to kind of use our education, think outside the box, and do really cool things.